Before the foundation of Portugal, the Iberian Peninsula was a mosaic of cultures, empires, and territorial disputes. Since antiquity, peoples such as the Lusitanians, Celts, and Iberians inhabited the region, each with its own identity and way of life. With the arrival of the Romans, a long process of domination and integration began, bringing infrastructure, language, and customs that would deeply shape future generations. However, political fragmentation and successive invasions by new peoples turned the peninsula into a stage of constant transformations, laying the foundations for the emergence of new kingdoms. The birth of Portugal was not an isolated event, but rather the result of centuries of struggles, alliances, and dynastic ambitions. Different Christian kingdoms waged battles against the Muslim invaders while also disputing territories among themselves. It was in this scenario that the County of Portugal emerged, a small domain that initially belonged to the Kingdom of León and Castile, but, under the leadership of figures such as Count Henry and his son, Afonso Henriques, would seek its independence. The formation of Portugal as a kingdom was not just a military feat but also a diplomatic achievement, involving kings, nobles, and even the church to legitimize its autonomy. Long before Portugal emerged as a kingdom, the Iberian Peninsula was already inhabited by various peoples of distinct origins. Among them were the Lusitanians, known for their fierce resistance against Roman occupation, as well as Celts and Iberians, who left deep cultural marks on the region. The arrival of the Romans in the 2nd century BC brought a new paradigm: Romanization. Cities were built, roads interconnected territories, and the Latin language began to spread, forming the basis of what would later become Portuguese. Roman rule also introduced laws, military organization, and the spread of Christianity, a religion that would become one of the pillars of Portuguese identity. However, Roman control over the peninsula would not last forever. With the decline of the Western Roman Empire in the 5th century, new threats emerged on the horizon. Germanic peoples, such as the Suebi and Visigoths, crossed the borders and established their own kingdoms in the region. The collapse of Roman authority not only marked the end of an era but also paved the way for a period of instability and transformation. Christianity, though consolidated, would face challenges with the rise of new dynasties and an even more overwhelming invasion yet to come: the arrival of the Muslims. With the fall of the Western Roman Empire in the 5th century, the Iberian Peninsula became the target of successive invasions. The first to settle were the Suebi, a Germanic people who founded an independent kingdom in the northwest, with its capital in Bracara Augusta, modern-day Braga. However, this rule was short-lived, as the Visigoths, who already controlled much of the peninsula, subdued the Suebi and consolidated their own kingdom, with the city of Toledo as their center of power. For over a century, the Visigoths ruled the region, but their control was not absolute. Internal disputes and revolts weakened their authority, making them vulnerable to external threats. It was in this context that, in 711, the Muslims of the Umayyad Caliphate crossed the Strait of Gibraltar and defeated the last Visigoth king, Roderick, at the Battle of Guadalete. Within a few years, almost the entire Iberian Peninsula was under Islamic rule, except for the northern mountains, where small Christian strongholds resisted. The new Muslim administration brought advancements in agriculture, architecture, and trade, but also drastically altered the political landscape of the region. Despite relative religious tolerance, the Christian kingdoms did not passively accept this new order. Resistance was organized, and in the Kingdom of Asturias, the legendary Battle of Covadonga, 722, led by Pelagius, marked the beginning of the Christian Reconquista, a campaign that would last for centuries. The Reconquista was a long military and political process in which the Christian kingdoms of the Iberian Peninsula gradually reclaimed territories taken by the Muslims. From Asturias, the Christian resistance movement spread to neighboring regions, leading to the formation of new kingdoms such as León, Castile, and Navarre. Among them, the Kingdom of León played a crucial role in the Christian expansion, promoting the establishment of counties in reconquered areas. It was in this context that the County of Portugal emerged in 868 when Vimara Pérez, a nobleman serving King Alfonso III of Asturias, established a military stronghold in the region of the Douro River. Initially, the County of Portugal was a vassal territory of the Kingdom of León, primarily tasked with defending the frontier against Muslim incursions. Its strategic position allowed for gradual growth, making it a key player in the peninsula's political structure. Over time, local lords began to harbor ambitions of their own, seeking greater autonomy from the kings of León and Castile. This desire for independence became even more evident in the 11th century when the county was granted to a foreign knight, Count Henry of Burgundy, who would bring new aspirations for the future of the territory. In the 11th century, the advance of the Reconquista attracted foreign knights to the Iberian Peninsula in search of glory and land. Among these warriors was Count Henry of Burgundy, a French noble who distinguished himself in the service of King Afonso VI of León and Castile. As a reward for his loyalty and bravery, Count Henry was granted the County of Portugal and married the king's daughter, Teresa. Although the county remained a vassal of the Kingdom of León and Castile, Henry began to show greater ambitions, seeking more autonomy for his land. During his rule, Count Henry strengthened the county's defenses and encouraged settlement, consolidating a more cohesive territory. However, his aspiration for independence faced resistance, as Afonso VI was unwilling to allow the county to become a separate kingdom. Henry's premature death in 1112 temporarily halted this project, leaving the government in the hands of his wife, Teresa, and their son, Afonso Henriques, who was still a child. However, the desire for freedom that Count Henry had nurtured did not disappear and soon became the driving force behind the young heir. After Henry's death, Teresa assumed the rule of the County of Portugal, but her administration quickly became controversial. Seeking to strengthen her position, she allied herself with the Galician nobility, which caused great dissatisfaction among the Portuguese lords. Many saw this alliance as excessive submission to the Kingdom of Galicia, weakening the autonomy that Count Henry had begun to build. This discontent found a leader in Afonso Henriques, who, upon reaching adulthood, gathered support among discontented nobles to confront his own mother. The conflict culminated in the Battle of São Mamede in 1128, one of the most decisive moments in Portugal's history. In this battle, Afonso Henriques defeated Teresa's forces and her Galician allies, establishing himself as the uncontested leader of the County of Portugal. With this victory, Teresa was removed from power and exiled, allowing Afonso Henriques to take full control of the territory. This event marked the first concrete step toward Portugal's independence, as from that moment on, Afonso Henriques began to act as a sovereign, ruling without answering to the Kingdom of León and Castile. After consolidating his rule over the County of Portugal, Afonso Henriques focused on expanding and strengthening the territory. His greatest challenge was still the fight against the Muslims, who controlled vast areas to the south. In 1139, after a series of successful military campaigns, he faced a large Muslim army at the Battle of Ourique. The victory was overwhelming, and according to tradition, it was at this moment that Afonso Henriques proclaimed himself King of Portugal. Declaring himself king was an audacious move, as he still needed recognition from other Christian powers, especially León and Castile, which continued to consider Portugal part of their domain. Portugal's independence was consolidated in 1143 with the Treaty of Zamora, where King Afonso VII of León recognized Afonso Henriques as King of Portugal, though the title was not yet fully accepted by Christendom. To secure sovereignty, Afonso Henriques sought papal recognition. After years of negotiations, Pope Alexander III issued the Manifestus Probatum Bull in 1179, officially recognizing Portugal as an independent kingdom under the Church's protection. This was the incredible journey of Portugal's formation, a kingdom born from battles, ambitions, and conquests. If you enjoyed this story and want to learn more about great empires, fearless kings, and moments that changed the world, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications for upcoming content. Comment below, what moment in Portugal's history do you find most fascinating? Let's continue this conversation in the comments. See you next time, and long live history.